I am Sandy Padala, CEO at Rex Academy, a one-stop solution for computer science learning. Um, we are all about equity in computer science education with our browser-based platform, self-paced curriculum, easy integrations, professional development, remote teachers, and 24 by 7 live support. We are removing the roadblocks that exist for computer science education. Welcome to Let's Talk Computer Science. Joining me in this week's episode is Mr. Jim Vaughn. Jim is a teacher and educational technology director for Patriots Hall at Brookfield Academy, with a deep passion for languages and learning. With more than 20 years of experience as an educator, Jim brings a wealth of knowledge and skills to the classroom. Jim not only has expertise in teaching Spanish and English, but he's also proficient in curriculum design. As an instructional technologist, his work has been focused on creating new ways to integrate technology into Brookfield Academy's curriculum and optimizing the use of technology in teaching and learning. One of his projects involved developing a hybrid study of Spanish that infuses real-world materials with interactive technologies. Jim is a University of Wisconsin-Madison alum and has also received a Master's of Education from Duquesne University. Jim, we are so excited to have you on our podcast. Now, let's talk about computer science.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, tell me more about your work and how did you get to where you are today?
Okay, so as you mentioned, I'm one of two educational technology directors for Brookfield Academy, kind of at large. I work with the high school, which is known as Patriots Hall. You also mentioned that. I'm kind of a jack of all trades in our building. I do some IT triage. I'm sure you have seen that happen, some IT triage. Do some database administration. I do some teacher tech coaching. We provide ongoing PD in various forms for our teachers, usually written, usually video, but also just-in-time support if it's required. And I also help sort of inform club advising for technology-related offerings at the school. So that's all that I do.
Nice, awesome. So, how did you get to the?
So do you want the long story or the short story?
Long would be fine.
Okay, long story. So I grew up in the greater Milwaukee area. I don't think it was until I was 15 that I ever saw a computer, much less cable TV. It was slow in coming to it with the Vaughn Rowley family household. But I was able to mooch off the technology of friends, and I kind of fell in love with the Commodore 64. I had a friend who lived across the way, and I would try to program BASIC, remember BASIC, on his Commodore 64. And I had a friend next door that had just about every Atari device imaginable. So it was always something for me that was kind of far off. In fact, my first paycheck, which came some years later, I want to say 1996, the first thing I bought was a compact Presario computer, and my wife wasn't very happy. It's like $4,500.
Yeah, way more expensive than now.
Oh, yeah. That's an Alienware computer now, right?
Mm-hmm.
In any case, I was first at least self-taught in computing, and that passion turned into a pursuit of instructional technology at the flagship program, one of the flagship programs in instructional technology at Duquesne University in the early thousands, and I was working for their satellite school, a high school, and I was able to get my tuition for free. So, I thought, hey, cool, some technology education would be right up my alley. And I think 2001, I was back visiting my brother for his wedding, and my grandma so much wanted me to be back home in Wisconsin, and she walked me over to Brookfield Academy. They had a job position, and I was lucky enough to land the sweet
Wow.
gig I have at BA.
Wow, that is a very interesting story. Yeah, the influence of family.
Yeah, right, right.
Is there anything more you want to add about your current work?
Oh, I would just say that my passion really tries. I guess my passion is about turning potential into success, and that Brookfield Academy, first and foremost, we're about the fundamentals. But I think this computer science is really interesting for us because it's frosting on those fundamentals, as it were. And I'm trying to do my best to connect with kids so that they can connect with technology. But the human connection is really what we're striving to have here. And the technology is just a tool for that.
How do you think schools can increase computer science education?
So that's a really good question. I've given it a lot of thought. I think you have to make it accessible. I think there's still an idea out there that we are all certain kinds of people. Some people are math people, some people are languages people, some people are artists. And I think what's great about technology, especially when it comes to programming, is you can take those passions and really do a lot with coding. Uh, there are lots of there are lots of competitions out there for art and coding. I mean, that goes without thinking much, right? But any field you want to pursue, I've met doctors who said that a little bit of Python they picked up along the way a lot, helped to inform their practice, as well as any kind of data aggregation they ran. As a result, they didn't have to hire extra people. So coding is alive and well. But to increase coding in school, I think you have to make it approachable. I think your message has to be that anybody can code, right? I I might not say that coding's for everyone, but anyone can
Right,
code. And we have a lot of these great tools out there, right, for the kids to, especially gamified ones.
right.
Yeah, so I guess one of the ways that we've increased, our coding classes by offering dynamic club offerings as sort of a gateway into computer science. So we
What
have
is dynamic club?
Okay, so dynamic club offerings means what I mean is something that kind of appeals to everyone. So you have a video game club, which to me doesn't really take any coding experiences, but you know as well as I do, a lot of coders, right, became passionate via gaming, right? So we have video game club. We have a
Yes,
robotic. Sorry.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
totally.
we have a
Yeah.
robotics club
Uh-huh.
that that has an enthusiast level, so non-stress, right? At least to start. And then we have a competitive level that we're trying to onboard over the next couple of years, where they get kits and a little more elaborate, maybe a little more committed involvement. And we also have a makerspace club, for lack of a better term. It's called TLC, and that club allows alumni from the school to come and present about their careers in technology. We have a guy named Doug Peters coming next week to talk about his work for Google, and he's bringing along 10 VR headsets, new VR headsets to demo.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So pretty cool stuff. And we also do 3D printing in that club, as well as do some coding parties, the code.org hour of code stuff, all that.
Yep, yeah, you're spot on. Like, yeah, I mean, when you said everyone can code, but coding is not for everyone, you're spot on. Like, everyone can do math, but math is not for everyone, right? So it's kind of similar.
Right, I agree. I mean, I think the trick is you want everybody to feel like they're welcome in a coding class, right? If they were to choose to take one, you definitely don't want to turn anyone away. But maybe I'm very passionate about all of our course offerings in computer science, but I think that Python introductory class anybody could take and enjoy, and then at the end of the class be at a crossroads of if I'm really into coding, maybe I go into principles or Java. Otherwise, maybe that's enough, and I can come back to it later, right?
Right. And especially in this generation with this like kind of digital world, everyone needs to have some understanding of computer science, whether they become an artist or car mechanic with cars such as Tesla or a doctor. So it's very critical to provide all these venues so that every kid has some exposure to basic computer science skills.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, for years I used to say everybody should take a second language. Like no matter what, you should know a
Right.
little bit of Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
You should know how to type. I always say that too. You should really need to know how to type because I think a person who can type at least 40 words per minute can get their ideas down quicker maybe than someone who cannot. And now I've added to that list, you really need to pick up some computer science.
Right. And yeah, and to me, like computer science is a language. Python is a language. It's just a universal coding language, right? So it's another language. And some states like Texas, they give language credit if a student takes computer science.
Yeah, I can see that connection too. In fact, I mean, when I first took over this job a couple of years ago, and we had our parents' night, and people want to know what your credentials are, and all you have to say, well, I taught Spanish for 25 years, and I got a couple hundred hours in coding, and I have this degree. I mean, it kind of all overlaps in a good way,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. So, what kind of resources are out there to teach CS, and what kind of resources do you guys use at your school?
So right now we are using Project STEM to sort of front load lessons. It was formerly Adhesive, and it's very much one of those sandbox tools that provides training, based on concepts. Then the students can plot it out in an IDE, iterate their code elsewhere, work on programs, and the teacher, in this case, me and my partner teachers in CS at the school, they follow up as sort of facilitators. But, as well as that, what Project STEM provides, I love what they have on code.org. I think that's outstanding. We use a little bit of stuff off there. They have some unplugged lessons I think that are great. They have one on packets. That's a lot of fun to do. They have another one on the binary bracelets. Do you know that one?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so those are fun. But I mean, I see a computer science teacher too is a curator nowadays, right? So it's not a question of what tools out there. I mean, I got more. I'll add to the list, but it's putting them in the right place for kids to access them based on when they're ready. But Carnegie Mellon University has some great lessons too out in their program for intro to computer science. But I also love the gamified systems. Two of my favorites are Code Combat. I love Code Combat for the kids. And another one is, I don't know if you've seen it, but the sequel Murder Mystery.
No, I haven't heard of this.
No, okay. So SQL Murder Mystery is a self-paced course on its own. It's free. It's browser-based, where kids uncover clues to solve a mystery by inputting different data types into a SQL database, and the kids love it. And I think it pairs off well with Python, seeing as naturally in the greater computing ecosystem, those two tools are programming languages are often used together. So that's another tool that we use. But also I love Code Sculptor. Code Sculptor is an IDE. I'm sure you know this one. What's neat about that is you can do paired sessions in coding, so the kids can work together collaboratively, then create links from those codes that they build out into Code Sculptor, which I then have them showcase in what I call an old school Trapper Keeper. It's that big binder from the 80s. Well, I created a Google Doc for it. The kids customize that Google Doc. It's basically a portfolio of their work over the year as well.
Yep, yeah, that sounds like a really good set of tools that you're utilizing at Brookfield Academy. That's awesome. So, what do you think? I mean, I think you kind of answered like ideal solutions for resources that are needed to help improve to increase CS education further, if anything.
Well, I mean, above and beyond these resources, because there are a ton of them out there, right? And again, I don't think I could say this enough. The trick is to go through all, maybe I get 100 different resources a day as a part of the CS. It's the CS Wisconsin and IT Dairyland Computing Group. So they'll send out, tons of resources. If you can find a decent 10 of those, right, and curate them well, that is the real trick. But above and beyond that, I think you really want to make your space receptive to students of all kinds of backgrounds. So Our original computer science lab, this is going to be a simple thing. Our original computer science lab had some kind of blah posters of how to use computers from the 1980s and 1970s. This is a disk drive with the definition of what a disk drive is. I'm sure we've seen these kinds of things. Well, I got rid of them, and I put up some artwork that is symmetrical and some Ansel Adams work as well from nature. And I just did a cross section of the wall on both sides of my room, the walls under which students code. And I have to say, I read an article about how young ladies especially are drawn to these sort of geometrical artistic landscapes, for lack of a better word, when coding. And I think it's increased the kids' focus, it's less distracting, it's more inclusive. And that's just a little thing.
Yep. Yes, totally agree. Yes. And especially if girls are encouraged, that makes a lot of difference. So thank you so much for sharing all of this information. It's really useful for me as well. So any final words?
Just a couple. I mean, I think I try to find slogans and help tie myself to a slogan for the whole year, 6 months until I find a better slogan. But I'm reading a book right now called Making It Stick. And I was trying to think of the authors for the life of me. It's not sticking, ironically enough, but it is to say that they said that you should have a core idea and make it as compact as you can. So my big idea recently is really in terms of technology, maybe IT, but also in terms of coding, that a lot of times what we do as teachers, if we do it well, is really promoting agility by subtraction, right? Like making your systems, making your programs agile by taking them down to only what is essential. Maybe 5 programs or 5 apps or, 5 tools to make things, flow and connect with the students.
Yep. Yeah, I really like that when you said like whatever idea you have, make it compact and complete. Yeah, I make it stick. I have to read that book too. Yep, thank you for sharing that information. So thank you so much, Mr. Vaughn, for your time today. I truly appreciate your knowledge and all the resources that you have shared with us and the listeners. Thanks a lot for your time.
Well, I'm entirely honored to be here. It's great working with people like you. Thanks for all you're doing to advance computer science. I'm glad to have you as a resource, and I appreciate this opportunity so much.
Yep. Thank you.